Where We Found Them is an installation of a brightly colored and patterned mixed media tapestry adorned with sequins, beads, lace, and crocheted flowers woven into the fabric. It is also decorated with items such as bracelets, folding fans, and on top of a pile of pink crocheted flowers, two pairs of shoes. The shape of the tapestry is irregular, and it is held up off the floor slightly by an aid. It's a visual shock with too many elements to take in all at once. However, the pink flowers are scattered throughout, almost like motifs, and draws the viewer's eyes to where they group together on one side. Here, there is nothing else to distract from them besides two pairs of shoes. The decorative elements make it harder to immediately notice the outlines of two bodies, a man and a woman, dressed in dancehall fashion. The figures depicted on the tapestry are shown from the legs down and are directly sourced from social media as photographs of anonymous murder victims in Jamaica. If we are to look more closely, we will notice that the shoes that the figures are wearing are also the same shoes that are resting empty on the pink flowers. On a first glance, none of these items or embellishments are typically associated with violence, but the more you look at it, the more it begins to tell the story of a man and woman who fell victim. Their clothes suggest that they were part of a dancehall celebration, and their items are strewn about on the floor as if the violent attack had just occurred. Even the title and the way the tapestry is not on a wall, it is instead lying on the floor, also points to this narrative. It tells us that the victims were found on the ground in a mess of their own belongings while they were engaging in some party or festival. Where We Found Them uses a high-effect aesthetic to raise awareness about social issues, forcing the viewer to pay attention not only to eye-catching objects, but also to witnessing an underreported violence in Jamaica. The artist Ebony G Patterson grew up in Kingston as the oldest of 9 siblings and experienced the so-called bottom of the socio-economic ladder. Her work is a deep commentary on dancehall fashion and culture, but also the underrepresentation of violence and brutality that working-class communities often become victim to. Patterson says there is a challenge being made about seeing and looking in her work, and she uses the vibrant, colorful style of dancehall culture to juxtapose next to the violence people experience on the streets. In Kingston, Jamaica, there is a weekly street dance party called Pasa Pasa, where dancehall music, fashion, and culture take over. Street festivals like this stem from the earlier post-colonial ones like John Canoe. While not mass performers like with John Canoe, there is still the wanting of to be seen in the use of high effect aesthetics in dancehall and in Pasa Pasa. The act of dressing up and dancing to the music becomes transgressive and a resistance to the status quo. It is both the release and celebration of Jamaica's history. Dancehall and John Canoe are high energy, and much like the performances of John Canoe, the fashion and music of dancehall also becomes a transfer of rhythm. The dancehall aesthetic that Patterson has applied to Where We Found Them is to attract the viewer's eye. However, its use is also to highlight the bigger picture of real people dying and being almost swept under the rug, so to speak. It distracts from the fact that while this is a beautiful and complex tapestry, it is also a place marker for the deaths of two people. Not only should we see the beauty in it, but we also need to look at what we are seeing more intently. This work is a critique on many levels. It asks both insiders and outsiders to look again. It's a critique on how we look at these festivals as grand spectacles, being an outsider, not knowing the roots, not knowing the roots of why the festival even exists. It's a critique on social media for using anonymous images of murder victims to garner likes without caring about the situation. It's a critique on how society in general will ignore what's right there before their eyes and how easily distracted we can all be. It's a critique on social issues like justice and violence, but it's also a commentary on the beauty and fragility of life. Where We Found Them asked us to look deeper and to never take what's given at the surface value. Thank you.